When you think about red cards, you think dangerous fouls or mistimed tackles, but you're about to find out it could be a lot more silly than that. Take this one for example, a crunch MLS game between Sporting Kansas City and the New York Red Bulls. Kansas leads by a goal to nil heading into extra time. The ball goes out for a goal kick, and goalkeeper Jimmy Nielsen was taking ages to restart the game. So up stepped Juninho, the time-wasting vigilante, to get the game going again. You know, if he hit the ball that hard in regular play, maybe his team wouldn't be losing the game to begin with. Speaking of spectacular kicks, Rafael Leao was about to score an immortal goal when Milan faced Sampdoria in a Serie A match. In the heat of the game, feeling glory coursing through his veins, he decided to attempt a bicycle kick. And yep, you guessed it, things did not go as smoothly as they did in his head, although it's the Sampdoria defender's head who paid the price for it. As far as spectacular goals go, Cristiano Ronaldo is certainly no stranger. In this Manchester derby in 2008, Ronaldo rose to make a delivery from the corner in order to score one of his trademark headers. This time, however, the headlights shone just a little too bright, and Ronaldo got confused and decided to use his hands to protect his beautiful face. Only problem though, he was a footballer, not a model.
Bruh.
As we know, players will do anything to get the ball in the back of the net. That's why when they do, they go crazy in their celebrations. Taking off your shirt to feel the raw energy of the moment is totally worth it when you score an important goal. Just ask Hasley after he scored a penalty for Vancouver. He went full bananas. He thought he had it all planned. He wore a second official kit under his first one. So when he took off his shirt, the referee couldn't possibly give him a card, right? Well, he did. Yikes, that's awkward. As a goalkeeper, when you're not 100% perfect, you're immediately in deep trouble. This keeper probably thought he had some breathing room when he collected the ball, only for the most insane 5 seconds of his life to occur right before his very eyes. Speaking of fast red cards, you're not gonna find many much faster than Steven Gerrard's against Manchester United. Stevie G was coming off the bench at halftime to try and rescue the game for Liverpool. He was spotting the armband, and all of Anfield held its breath. Wouldn't you know, 38 seconds after the restart, Gerrard would stamp on Ander Herrera and got red carded. 38 seconds, folks. 38 seconds. You've seen dozens of red cards for players committing fouls on an opposition player, but I bet you've never seen a red card for a foul committed on the referee. Well, here you go. Diego Carlos couldn't quite believe the ref was quick enough to cut across him in a sprint. Carlos needed to get back into the action, push the ref in order to get him out of the way. Hey, football is a contact sport, you know. That goes for you too, Mr. Referee. Referees do have to make tough, awkward calls all the time. Like say, when a player gets subbed off and he forgets he has to be off the field before he takes off his shirt. He's just been red carded. The look on his face is priceless. Facepalm moment of the century. Speaking of stupid red cards, they don't become much stupider than this. In a Bundesliga game between Eintracht Frankfurt and RB Leipzig, Frankfurt keeper Lukas Hradecky totally forgot he was playing football and not volleyball when he slipped and attempted to catch the ball outside the box. The moment he did it, he knew he messed up. A classic goalkeeping brain fart moment. The only thing worse than a goalkeeping brain fart is 2 brain farts. In a UEFA Champions League game between Manchester City and Barcelona at the Etihad, not only did Claudio Bravo pass the ball to Luis Suarez under no pressure at all, he then also decided to stop Suarez's shot with his hands while still outside the box. Epic fail doesn't even begin to cover it. But now we've got to move on from brain farts to a true stroke of genius. Jose Mourinho, as we all know, is the true grandfather of the dark arts. He's won multiple European trophies by stopping his opponent from playing the way they would like, but he was about to take it to the next level in 2010. On one faithful Champions League night in November, Jose's Madrid faced up against Ajax. With his side 4-0 up in the game, he ordered Xabi Alonso and Sergio Ramos to both waste time and get themselves sent off. Why? Because Real were already through the knockout round and both players were a yellow away from suspension. So with a straight red now, all they would miss is a dead rubber game in the group stage. Just take a look at these masterpieces. Subtle. Mourinho isn't always a smooth operator though. Sometimes he can go absolutely ballistic on the touchline, like the Serie A game where his AC Roma faced Napoli and he got 2 yellow cards for dissent. First, he thought a Napoli player dived to win a foul, and the second, he thought his side should have won a free kick but it wasn't given. It doesn't matter what the reason is though, when Mourinho's not happy with the decision, he lets the entire stadium know. Tempers can boil over when you don't get the fouls you think you deserve. Just ask Wilfried Zaha, the star dribbler. In a Premier League game between Southampton and Crystal Palace, the Ivorian was getting increasingly frustrated with the referee's decisions, and he finally lost it. When this went against him, he just let all hell loose. Sarcasm isn't quite as effective when you beat it into the ground like that. Not every anger tantrum is as one-sided as Zaha's. Some players step right up to aggressor, or should I say wrestle down. In a fierce La Liga match between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, the tackles were flying. Diego Simeone's men were up to their usual shenanigans, trying to rile up and physically challenge just about any Barca player on the ball. An event no player wants more than Stefan Savic, and with Ferran Torres, he would get his fight. After a crunch tackle, the pair then engaged in a short but very intense wrestling match. The result? A red card for both. But you've gotta feel like one person enjoyed that more than the other. Sometimes, amidst the carnage and frustration, you just need something to punch. This keeper just conceded a bad goal and just needed to vent, so he moved his arm to smack the ball, only for the goal scorer to get in the way. Not gonna lie, that does look more satisfying, although his teammates would have preferred their first choice keeper stayed on the pitch. If you want to take your revenge on the field or leave a little something on your opponent, then you're going to need to be sneaky about it. Of course, in this age of VAR, it's literally impossible for you to get away with it, but you totally could in 2012. Although you would have to be a little more subtle than John Terry was in this game against Barca. It ended up looking super clumsy. Let's face it, Terry just isn't Tom Cruise. Imagine for 1 second how ridiculous you would feel to kill an attack when your team needs to score. Now imagine getting a second yellow card and being sent off in a final. Well, that's pretty much the plotline for Victor Moses' worst nightmare. In an FA Cup final between Arsenal and Chelsea, the Nigerian weaved his way into the box before then hitting the deck like a sack of oranges. The referee whistle blew, and it wasn't to award the penalty. To add to the pain, all the Arsenal fans made sure to wave Victor Moses goodbye as he made his way off the pitch. We'd be lying if we said Victor Moses did a strange thing though. When their team needs to score, strikers become desperate. And a lot of times that desperation can quickly turn into anger, especially when the opponent keeps wasting time like Stoke City used to do. An away match at Craven Cottage was hell for all Premier League teams, and when you're chasing the game, the Stoke players seem to take forever to restart play. And do it enough times and you might just get an elbow to the face. Robin van Persie has had enough. It's not a proper red card list without a mistaken identity red card. The classics. Arsenal went to Stamford Bridge for a PL match, and the Gunners were being chewed up. Chelsea were 2-0 and cruising, yet they still wanted a third goal so bad. Next thing you know there's a clear shot on goal and Chamberlain stops it with his hand. A penalty was awarded and a red card was issued. Only problem though, it went to Gibbs instead of Chamberlain. Dear oh dear, in the heat of the rare London sunshine, must have caused the referees to go blind for a second. Even Chamberlain himself tried to confess, and the ref was still having none of it. Chelsea didn't care though. Penalty given, ball in the net, game, set, match. And finally, to wrap it all up, the infamous Luis Suarez red card for Uruguay against Ghana in the 2010 FIFA World Cup quarterfinal. It's extra time, the bottom of the night, and the game remains in the balance with Ghana launching a late flurry. The big chance finally comes, only for Suarez to save it on the goal line with his hands. An easy red card. Suarez, in tears, making his way off the pitch, stops to watch the penalty, and here's the funny part. Assam Kagyan misses, and almost immediately, Suarez's tears of despair turns into screams of delight as he went down the tunnel. The gods of football were not on Ghana's side that day, and Suarez showed the world just how dedicated and insane he truly is. Well, there you have it folks, 20 of the funniest and wildest red cards we've ever seen in history.